question for Mr. Stark, if he could take the mic back. One question.
Just while, sir, we have a question that's
Go.
on the floor at the moment. I think the answer is that they would need to go back through a process like this to redefine the project if those numbers were shown to be creeping up or changing, because you don't have clearance for it in environmental terms.
Shown by who?
And for the Napa Unified District, I've been a neighbor for 24 years, and you guys are coming into an angry crowd, no doubt. But you're coming into an angry crowd for very valid reasons. And until you listen to your public and give them a voice and get their understanding, you're a project manager. To me, you're coming from Mars. You aren't on the school every day. You don't resolve the issues when I call. You don't know that when I call, Concord PD goes, what side of the bridge is it on? It's a drug deal. Get over here. It's your students. So this is what we're faced with every day, and you need to hear that anger and give us a resolution.
Does this have to do with the environmental impact report?
It does.
Yes.
So, ma'am, I'm going to cut you off. Not only is that something to be, questions like that maybe once I'm done, but that's really not the sort of thing that the environmental document deals with at all.
Or is it coming
Period.
to the district, which is why everybody's so angry.
Now, sir, I'm going to come to you
Okay.
in just a second.
Just
What?
very quick question of definition for Mr. Stark. You say there are X number of events. Friday night, Frosh football from 4 to 6, JV football from 6 to 8, varsity game 8 to 10. Do you count that as one event or three?
Okay, I'm going to take it right from the table. There's varsity and junior varsity, okay, is one line. It's from 4:30 to 10.
So that's one event.
There would be 6 events. So what the table has done is group those 2 games, and that would be, those 2 games, I believe, would be one event.
Oh, God. Thank you for nothing.
Let me sort of segue off of Mitchell's comment or his introduction of this table, which I would really urge all of you to take a look at. And so he gave you sort of a bottom-up approach. Let me take one quick top-down approach, which is to say there's a single line in here in this table, out of which most of the major impacts that are of a noise nature will be generated. And that is that line for varsity and junior varsity games, of which there will be 6 of them combined, 4:30 until 10 per year. All of these other, when you look at the table, you'll see that the number of kids and or parents or coaches, etc., participating in the other events are down in the 20 to 50 to 100, maybe 200 person range. It's those games where they expect upwards up into the 500 to 1,000 range. People cheering, PA system going, lights, etc. Those are your nights when most of the conclusions that we've drawn talk about. We don't even talk about these other ones because they don't rise up into, if you remember my graphic up there, they're way down in the, doesn't count as a significant impact.
Measure the DBs?
Yes. Yes.
Where? When?
How many of these games will conflict with De La Salle?
Yeah. That's a question that we will look up and tell you. Let me get
You don't
that.
know?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't know.
Well,
I don't make the schedule.
the events that you're speaking about, these only deal with the school events. There's also on the table that there are great plans to lease the fields out to other events and other individuals. So those aren't even covered.
The table does include those outside uses that are anticipated. So the table covers all of the district anticipated uses and what can be anticipated for outside uses. It doesn't mean additional users would not request the use of the field, but what Mr. Clore is saying is that once this document's adopted by the board, any uses beyond that would need to go back for board approval before. So if they say there's 50 outside users that are approved on this document, if there's 51, that needs to go back to the board to approve, and that could go through another EIR process to bring that in. So the whole process with the EIR is to set kind of the baselines. And what Mr. Clore is saying is right. If you see things that are outside that document. This document is something that we should all adhere to. So we're not anticipating going beyond this document. This isn't something that we're going to say 100 events, and we're really planning more than that.
But there's nothing in place to restrict them as far as the late nights or when you're gonna schedule them. There's no caps on it.
Once adopted by the district, this document puts that cap. That establishes that cap.
Who's in control of it?
Left and center.
The Board of Education would be technically.
Who's in control of the other schools that are going to be here?
I'm sorry?
The other schools, the other events. Who's in control of the programming?
All the rentals.
All the rentals.
If we can, I don't want to take away
You're
from.
talking a load of nonsense.
I don't want to take away from Mr. Clory. As soon as he's done, if we can
Done nothing.
grab all of those comments,
Yeah.
once we get done with the presentation, we want all of those comments.
Let's get back to just a couple more slides so that we can tell you, as we've now mentioned several different times, what we'll do is to prepare responses to all of those comments. That document will be available, and I'm just guessing now, sometime out in July. And you will, I would, keep a lookout in your email and/or whatever notification process we use. Put a little tickler there to be aware of that someplace in late July. And then, and only then, the board will consider certifying the EIR, that mitigation monitoring and reporting program, legal findings, and other things. So, just again, looking back at our rules, which we're already violating a little bit, one person speaks at a time, everybody's respectful. Adhere, please, to maybe 3 or 4 minutes each, no applause and cheering, and then really no reason to duplicate comments.